This is a new month. We have a new theme. Of course, the theme for 2019 for Centers for Spiritual Living all over the world, of which we are a part, is spirituality in action, otherwise known as take it to the streets, kids. Our March theme is be truthful in facts and motives. You ready for that? I'll say more about that soon. Oh, sunshine! There is sunshine in Greater Philadelphia. How nice. That's good. Hang on, kids. It's going to snow this afternoon. And the value for the month is one of my favorites. Integrity. Integrity, which really means wholeness, doesn't it? I am in wholeness with myself when I am in integrity. I'm in wholeness with you and with the universe when I am in integrity. So the authentic self today. Lao Tzu, over 6,000 years ago, said, when you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. That's being the authentic self. Not trying to compare or compete or convince or win a prize. Just want to be myself, the best self, my better self today than I was yesterday. No one to compete with at all. And you're vitally important to the world. Do you know that, just as you are? You are vitally important to the world. You are irreplaceable. If there were two, just like you, one of you wouldn't be required. So let's accept and celebrate the authentic being, the unique expression of the living presence of God that you are, that no one else can be. You probably didn't wake up thinking about that this morning, did you? Let's think about it now, because it's true and it's important and it's wonderful to discover that authentic self that we are and to live from that place rather than try to be something else. So it requires courage to be honest with ourselves. What are my real values? Who am I? Or what is mine to do? I like reviewing my own core concepts and values. I'm open to doing that. I'm open to looking to see, is that something that I still want to live from? Is this something that is still real and true to me? Otherwise, I might expand my vision and come up with another idea about what is vitally important to me. It's usually something that has to do with becoming simpler and more real. You're not your occupation. You've known that for a long time, haven't you? You're not your gender. You're not your ethnicity. You're a beautiful, individualized expression of divine life, manifesting that divine life in all of those things and more. It's funny how people answer when they asked who they are. It often has to do with their gender, the role in the family, the career, their psychological types, their sign. What's your sign? Stop. Let's get to the reality of who we really are. Being true to yourself really requires understanding your noble origins. Because you and I all came from a long line of love. We all came from the one life. Underneath everything, all the differences, we are divinely originated. There are a lot of things going on in the world simultaneously, aren't there? There's a lot of beauty. There's a lot of tragedy. There's so much. It's hard to take it all in sometimes, isn't it? And we develop different values as we begin to sort out and sort through and determine what really is vitally important to us, who we really are, and what we can do, and what we are here to do. Some of you know that I used to be a Californian. And I thought that was just wonderful. And it was. Part of that being a Californian was being raised at the beach and finding that one of my great values, as so many of my friends had, was to be golden tan. That was very important to me for years, to be golden tan. And I had a friend in New York who said to me one day, when I asked him about the beaches, don't you folks go to the beach? Don't you lie in the sun sometimes? He said, we have other things to do. Oh. Well, then one day, many years later, I developed a melanoma on the back of my leg. And the surgeon told me that she was going to do a very thorough job so that it wouldn't be coming back, and she was great. She said, oh, and by the way, it will look like a shark bite. When I get to know you better sometime, I will show you my shark bite on the back of my calf. It does. I make up stories about it sometime, and then I tell the truth. There I was, being tugged under. It was great white. So I stopped tanning. And I missed it. Because I loved the feeling of the sun on my body. I loved the look of the tan. I don't do that anymore. And if I go out in the sun, I wear a hat, big hat. Because I don't want to do that anymore. And it's okay. I found out that there are other things to do. And I'm a Pennsylvanian now, and happy to be. I love seasons. Yesterday, Reverend Mike and I got on the train in Malvern and went to Jefferson Station, and guess where we went? To the flower show, the largest indoor flower show in the world. Did you hear that? In the world. There are other things to do. Looking out the window, seeing all the beauty as we're going, and then walking in to the flower show and seeing springtime had emerged was fabulous. It just makes everybody's heart sing. Everyone's having a wonderful time. It's so beautiful. And it was about flower power. Lovely. Go if you have a chance. And then we had the train ride on the way back. And then our traditional, this is our fourth flower show. Every flower show on the way home, we are carrying back our pussy willows that we bought at the flower show that we keep until the next year when we buy new pussy willows. There are other things to do. What a beautiful day. What a sweet day. I hardly looked at my email at all while we were on the train. I liked that part too. I might do that a little more often. Then last night, we watched Black Klansman. There are so many different things in the world all going on simultaneously. And last night it also, God, it was powerful. Also got an email that went out to the entire ministers group from one of our wonderful ministers in Sacramento. And she, along with other clergy in her area are speaking out today on their pulpits in Sacramento about Stephen Clark, a young black man who a year ago was killed by 2 policemen. 20 shots they fired, and Stephan's weapon was a cell phone. And so the policemen were acquitted a year later. And we look for justice in the world. And what we know about justice, it's what love looks like in public. And that wasn't looking like love. What the clergy group in Sacramento wants now is action. Action that doesn't have to do with revenge. It has to do with changing some laws. It has to do with education. It has to do with connecting on a deeper level and teaching the people who are serving our communities in law enforcement to have a deeper understanding and to be hesitant to use force, that kind of force, until it's really required. And the flower show, and the snow, and the trains, and people being horrible to one another. It's all a part of our world. What are we going to do with all this? We're going to become our authentic selves. And we're going to deal with it all and understand that it isn't all ours to do, but certain things are ours to do. For instance, understanding that each one of us is a divine expression of the living God. Each one of our lives is precious, and that we have an opportunity to look through God goggles, as Cheryl would say, and see the divine looking back at us and do what is right in each moment. And how do we know what is right? Where is it written? It's written right in our hearts. If we will listen, if we will open our hearts and our minds to see the truth about each other, to love and celebrate one another, if we will take the time to seek first to understand, to develop groups of people like our beautiful care circles, where we're opening our hearts to each other. Yes, she went upstairs to be with the kids. We're opening our hearts to one another. We're telling ourselves the truth. We need to be honest with ourselves. And that includes looking to see, is there still within me anywhere any sense of bias? Any old beliefs or reactions to feeling better than someone else? So different than that we can't have a conversation? I need to be so honest with myself that I will ask those questions. And then I will come back in my deep meditation to the awareness that there's one. And from that oneness, from that beautiful being that each one of us participates in, there is a possibility for us to know and love each other in ways that we might not have been aware of before. What's true of the infinite, the life, the light, the love, the peace, the power, the beauty, and the joy is where? Right within you, right within me, and right within every sentient being. So we need to keep elevating our consciousness. You see, as we elevate our consciousness, it can't help but have a positive effect on everyone in the world. Really, it goes out, the ripples go out, but they start right where we are. And we cannot get into the, oh, ain't it awful, there's nobody can do anything about that. it's not the anybody's who are supposed to do anything about anything. It's the presence and the power of the divine itself that resides within each and every one of us that makes us capable to take the next step and do what is right. Speak out when it's time to speak out. Make a difference where we can make a difference. And always with love. Not in anger, but with love. Is that easy to do? Are you willing to do it? That wonderful, wonderful scholar, Rumi scholar, that held forth at the Baptist church across the street from the Islamic Society and the Jewish synagogue. I love that Fertile Crescent over there in Devon. He gave a beautiful. I could have listened to him all night. He was a beautiful storyteller. And the stories were deep and real and important. And they were about our transformation. And he used Rumi's story about the reed and how the reed can become a beautiful flute in the hands of God. But the reed has to go through some tough times getting all cleaned out of all the things that aren't going to make it musical. And so we need to be willing to be cleansed of those things that don't make us musical. Loving, beautiful, caring. Cleaned out of all of that. And then, after going through all that, then the reed needs to have holes put in it so that the beautiful music of the universe can flow out. And when it does, the reed becomes a flute in the hands of the divine. And we're all in the process of doing that. It isn't always easy, it isn't always fun, and sometimes it hurts. We don't need to continue to live with our pain. When we have allowed ourselves to be cleansed of that which no longer serves us, and we're pretending to be this and pretending to be that, and we stop pretending, and we stand in our authentic self, it's sweet, it's beautiful. We're free. A wonderful sense of freedom. As you know, I live an open book life, and it's very freeing. I don't have to remember who I said what to. Has anyone here ever experienced the pain of loss? Indeed, we have. Small losses, large losses, they all hurt. We must bring who we really are to each one. It's been over 5 years since my youngest son passed. I feel more joy than pain about Jeff. And that's because I know he's fine. And it's because I know we're still connected and always will be. And it's because I know he's more of his authentic self now than he ever was. And as some of his friends say, those angels aren't ever going to be the same. Making them laugh every day. So we need to be who we are. We don't need to be, but I think we better be who we truly are and let all the facades begin to melt away, because pretense, imitation, goes nowhere. Emerson said, imitation is suicide. What are we killing when we're trying to imitate somebody else? Our real self. We can't really kill it. It's indestructible. But we're pushing it down, closing it in, instead of allowing it to come forth and to be that beautiful flute that the reed always has had the capability of being. We get to find out who we really are. And the things that happen in our lives that are so hard, as Ram Dass said, they're grist for our mill. We're getting needed. We're needed to be needed all the time so that we can bring forth the beautiful expression of life that we truly are. And it really, the successes and the triumphs require courage, require being brave. Courage, core of the heart. coming back to our real self. And sometimes we need to have a shining example. It's been a while since I shared with you a true story of one of my favorite poets and philosophers, David Whyte. And this was when he was climbing with two other friends in the Himalayas. And they'd been climbing quite a long time, and David felt the need to go off and be by himself for a while. So he said to his two friends, you go ahead and go that way. I'm going to take a different route, and then we'll meet up down below. Fine. So he took off on his own, and he's hiking and enjoying the beauty and sitting down for a while and meditating and feeling one with everything. He got up and continued to walk along, and he knew where he was going. What he did not know at that time was that there was he knew there was a big span where he needed to cross from one cliff to another. He also knew that there was a bridge there, but he didn't know that it was all hanging and dangling, that bridge. And so he sat down again, kept looking at this metal bridge with all the pieces hanging this way and that way. He kept looking at it as though, have you ever done this? If you keep looking at a problem long enough, maybe it's going to go away or get better. Looking at it. Didn't change. No matter how much he looked at it, it didn't change. And then here came, he was a tall guy, and here came this little Nepalese woman with a dung basket on her head. That's what they would collect the yak dung and use it for cooking, not to eat, but for the fires. So she's coming along with, and she's kind of like this, limping a little bit. But she's walking along with a big smile on her face, and she sees him, he stands up, and she's about like this, and he's about like that, and she looks at his boots, and then she starts looking up at him, and with this slightly toothless smile, she grins at him, she says, "Namaste," and runs across the bridge. And he follows. We sometimes need someone to inspire us, to remind us who we really are and what we're capable of. And then he wrote this poem. This is in his book, The Heart Aroused. In fact, what he said at the last of the story of the crossing of the bridge, he says, incredulous, but without for one moment letting myself stop and think, I picked up my pack and went straight after her, crossing the broken bridge in 7 or 8 quick but frightening strides. And years later I wrote, one day the hero sits down, afraid to take another step. And the old interior angel limps slowly in with her no-nonsense compassion and her old secret, and goes ahead. Namaste, you say, and follow. We have many beautiful examples of people who have found their true selves, and through this discovery have made a great difference in other people's lives. Look at some of your TED Talks. Inspirational stories that help to remind us. It's like the little eaglet, the parable of the eaglet who was captured as a tiny bird and with a stake, with a string kept on the ground, didn't know it was an eagle until the day came that a beautiful eagle came along, soaring overhead, and reached down with a wing tip and touched the wing of the little eagle, who then broke off and flew away and understood, I'm an eagle. I'm an eagle. I can soar. My wing was touched. Let these people touch our wings so that we can soar as well. I think Malala, a wonderful young woman named Malala, is one of those eagles for us as well. It's a joy to live from the authentic self. It's powerful to live from the authentic self. It's so rewarding. And it makes a difference. It is ours to do, to live from who we truly, truly are. So we first start perhaps by unzipping the merely human cloak and proudly and yet humbly showing up in our full dress divinity. That's who we've always been. That's who we're reminding each other we are. Let's be honest with ourselves, our core concepts, our unity with a power that is greater than we are and yet right where we are, and that we have the ability to use it. Let's step into that power and let's use it for good. Small ways are just fine, as Mother Teresa said. We don't have to do great things. Do small things with great love. It's always the love that leads us forward. So let's peel off those layers of inauthenticity. Let's value our integrity. And let's live from our integrity every day. Will you say with me, I rejoice in the I am that I am. I delight in the freedom to be my true self. I live from my most authentic self. And so, my beloveds, beginneth our lesson. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.